bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing? Yeah, man, it's Monday. It is Monday, June 19th. 169 days into the new year, just 196 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It's Monday. I hope you had a great Father's Day weekend, and I hope you spend it with your family. You ate some good food, did all of that stuff. Here in Southern California right now, like a lot of the country, it's a heat wave. Absolute barn burner here in Southern California. I was watching some of the posts as we were talking about our heat here. Man, Phoenix, buck 17, buck 20. Oh, man. Las Vegas. Yeah, it's hot here. It's hot here out west. How you doing across the rest of the country? I'm just getting posts, from Seattle, San Francisco. Everybody's all happy that we're miserable. Yeah, I get it. Tonight, we have very special guests live from France. Chris Hardy is here to talk about her book, Wars of the Anunnaki, and hung out with Chris. She was at the Fader House at Contact in the Desert, I think Saturday night, and hung out with her all weekend at Contact in the Desert. She's great. And so we're going to talk about her new book. Also, she has been, I want to say, she's been on the science side of things for a very long time. She's educated. And so we're going to talk about some of the science of this, too, as well. Some of the biblical references to the past. We're going to tie it all together tonight with Chris. Looking forward to this conversation. Tomorrow night, Ambassador Ihani is going to be here. Now, he is Antonio in Caroline Corey's film, Gods Among Us. And if you remember my surprise and wonderment about Zach and Antonio and their appearance in the film, and I wanted to get them on here as soon as we could. So, yes, that will happen tomorrow night. Antonio is going to be here live from New Zealand, and speaking with him today, what a bright young man, and we're going to be able to explore everything about his life and his message to the world, and we're going to do that tomorrow. Very excited about that. Wednesday is director and filmmaker Michael Mazzola is going to be here. We're going to talk about his journey and the making of Unacknowledged. What did make it into the film? Why? What made it into the film? Why? And the look and so forth, and his personal journey throughout the UFO community. So we're going to do that on Wednesday. So we've got a great week lined up here on Fade to Black. Thursday night, of course, is another Fader Night with John Rappaport and is No More Fake News Live, followed by Open Lines all night long. Great night of Open Lines last week, and it's just turned out to be my favorite night of the week, is just hanging out with all of you. Okay, follow us on Twitter, at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is Fade to Black, JChurch Radio, Jimmy Church Radio. It's easy. Just go and click on those three little buttons over there on the website. Follow, like, and subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and which is, it's just a great avenue for the reason why. I mean, we have archives, we have the podcast, we have the membership area. But a lot of people in the world, YouTube is the number 2 search engine behind Google. I don't know if you know that. And they're both owned by Google, right? That's the other thing. Number 1 and number 2. So many people go to YouTube for their entertainment, right? That's what they do. So that's what our YouTube channel is there for. And if you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe. They will never listen to the show live. They'll never go to the website. They never visit websites. And I get that. I totally understand it. So that's what that's there for. Okay? All right. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And if you've got the super uber secret membership email, you can use that throughout the show. I will get that in here in the bunker. Breaking news today. Otto Warmbier, the American college student who spent 17 months in detention in North Korea, died today in Cincinnati, Ohio. He returned to the United States last week. As Dennis Rodman arrived, he was released. He did not talk. He did not move in any way or respond to verbal communication at that time. Well, in a news conference last Thursday, doctors called his condition unresponsive wakefulness and revealed that he had suffered significant brain damage during his imprisonment. The North Korean government said botulism is to blame for his condition, but U.S. doctors say that they have found no evidence of the illness. He passed away today. Well, at least he came home here, and it's just unbelievable. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 670 archive shows, custom apps, Apple and Android, all platforms for just $2 a month. $2. Let's go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner, or you can become a Fadernaut over in our membership section on the site, where you get the bunker cam, right? You get commercial-free downloadable archives. And if you get the Game Changer, you get all that Fade to Black gear, autographed hats, and all that stuff. Plus, we have a monthly drawing every single month for all of the members, all of the Fadernauts. This month, we are giving away Life Change Tea Care Package. And don't forget to visit all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, getthetea.com, River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. And today, New Pharma is our latest sponsor. New Pharma, GNU Pharma. And the banners are up over at jimmychurchradio.com. And if you click on the banner and use the promo code F2B, you'll get 33% off of your order. All right, that's New Pharma. All of their science, all of the knowledge is over at newpharma.com. GNUPHARMA.com. And of course, Studio Dome speakers. All right. We'll be at the ECETI Ranch for their July 4th conference. It's coming up. Their Science, Spirit, and World Transformation Conference. Tickets and info. Just click on the banner over at our site, jimmychurchradio.com. And everything that you need to know is there. Food, lodging, camping, the different events that are going to be going on all weekend long, and, of course, the conference schedule. It's right up at jimmychurchradio.com. We'll see everybody up at ECETI. I was talking to James today, literally talking to James today, and sightings going on there every single day and night. and he gave me permission to post a video. So I'm going to get this up for everybody to see tomorrow. Pretty amazing footage that they just shot up there. They've added a couple of new speakers for the conference, so just go over to their site and just click on the banner. Make it simple over at jimmychurchradio.com and look at the full conference schedule and everything that has been added. Cannot wait. We'll be up there, not this weekend, but next weekend for the July 4th weekend. Okay? All right, let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Kathleen Turner. Kathleen Turner today is 63 years old. Starred in Romancing the Stone. I don't know if you know this, but she was the voice of Jessica Rabbit, right? And also the movie Serial Mom. Happy birthday today to Kathleen Turner. Also today, Mia Sara is 50. Unbelievable. You know, the co-star of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. All right, on this day in history, OTD, sad day, 2013, James Gandolfini, TV's Tony Soprano, dies at the age of 51 of a heart attack while vacationing in Rome, Italy. Fate or fact, listen to this, by the way. When Pope Francis released peace doves at the Vatican back in 2014, the doves were immediately attacked by other birds, losing feathers. It got ugly, and they were being driven away by these other birds, all in front of the huge crowd at the Vatican. They watched. That is a fate or fact. All right, tonight, very special guest live from France. Chris Hardy is here. We're going to talk about her book, Wars of the Anunnaki. Tomorrow night, Ambassador Ihani, who is Antonio and Caroline Corey's film Gods Among Us, will join us live from New Zealand. Wednesday, director and filmmaker Micah Mazzola is here. We're going to talk about how he made the film Unacknowledged. Thursday is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live, followed by open lines all night long. The call-in numbers are, as always, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. All right. I posted earlier today that Sean David Morton, I don't know what's going on with him not showing up in court today. I don't know. All right. He's been part of the UFO community for a very, very long time and a bit of a mysterious guy. But this ongoing court battle has been going on for a while, and I've never commented on it because I really don't know what's going on. I only know what's going on in the news. Well, I just want to give a little bit of background for everybody so you understand fully what is happening here. Morton and his wife, Melissa, were convicted in April of this year of multiple counts of conspiring to defraud the Internal Revenue Service by passing checks and bonds. And as a result of the scheme, the IRS erroneously had issued a refund of $480,323 to the couple. Well, prosecutors were expected to recommend a prison sentence of more than 7 years, 87 months, when Morton, who is representing himself, failed to appear today. And U.S. District Judge Stephen Wilson issued the arrest warrant forthwith. Okay, now that's according to court documents. I have heard from a few different sources since then that this has been appealed to the Supreme Court and that the lower court just doesn't know about the appeal that is going on. Okay, again, a very strange set of circumstances to go down today. A sentencing date in Los Angeles federal court for Melissa has not been scheduled, so we don't have that. And Melissa and her attorneys haven't responded back, and they don't have to, and they haven't responded back, so we don't have that info as well. The charges stem from the couple's participation in a redemption scheme, which is used across the nation by tax defiers and so-called sovereign citizens. And this has been going on for a long time. And the reason why I'm commenting on it now is that I have nothing to do with Morton, by the way, and hopefully he's going to get this fixed. Did he do his radio show today? Does anybody know if he commented on his show today? I would like to know that. Post up in Twitter if you have any updates on Sean and what is going on. Because if he's appealed it up to the Supreme Court, then this question, not with Morton, but with sovereign citizens. And that's where I'm going right now. This goes way back. If you turn on your Wayback Machine and you go to Bill Cooper. Bill Cooper had talked about this for years and years, and also advertised on his show how to become a sovereign citizen, right? And the how do I want to say this? The evidence, the way that this has been laid out is that everybody in the United States has an account, like a checking account, like a savings account in your name that is issued to you, and your birth certificate is part of this legal document and legal status and the accounts that are created. And by the time you become an adult, that millions and millions of dollars have accrued in this account. But the United States is making that money on you, and you never see this money. Now, it sounds interesting, right? Well, how would I tap into that money? It's kind of like, you've got some life insurance policy that you never knew about, and it accrued your entire life, and then suddenly you find out about it when you're an adult, and you're like, hey, man, wow, okay, I got cash I can tap into. It's kind of like that. Well, by appealing this has been rejected across, so many people have tried to do this, and what they end up ultimately doing is getting themselves in a lot of legal trouble. And it doesn't stop, and the debts don't go away, right? Now, let's see here. Okay, IPD just said, the last word I heard from Sean was a recent Project Camelot interview with him. He explained his side. Okay, again, and when you hear the pitch from... which has gone back for years, and I have sat and listened to it. I'm like, wow, that sounds really interesting. And you hear the pitch, it sounds good. It sounds solid. It sounds like there is a conspiracy out there against us. Always remember, conspiracy is two or more people conspiring to commit a crime together. So that's what I'm saying, coming back at us. But if you go and you venture down this road and you dip your toe into that, you have to be prepared for the consequences. Okay? I don't know that a court, especially a federal court, is going to uphold this and somebody is going to win. Because one person wins this court case, that means everybody in the United States now is entitled to millions of dollars in treasury bonds and treasury accounts, right? Now, think about it in those terms. It's not going to happen. It's just not. There's no court that would uphold this, right? I'm looking at the responses here on Twitter. And that's where we are right now. Now, Sean has been representing himself. Probably that's a good idea, because I don't know if you're going to have a lawyer that's going to represent you in this. It's certainly not correctly. But if this does make it to the Supreme Court, what if, right? What if SDM makes it in and gets this case heard and something happens because of it, right? That, I don't know. And this is the other part that I feel funky about with Sean today not showing up in court, which may have been intentional, but is this. if it's being appealed, what about the current conviction, right? I always thought you got a murder conviction. You convicted of stealing a car. You're convicted of whatever. Okay, you're convicted, and then you appeal the conviction. You still have to go to jail. Just because you're appealing it doesn't mean the conviction's put on hold. It's not. You can overturn it later in an appeals court, in an appellate court, but that doesn't throw away the conviction, right? So that's what is bizarre here. If you're going to appeal it to the Supreme Court, I would assume that you would show up today, do your sentencing, get all that done, then appeal. So I don't know. The whole thing is feeling a bit strange to me. So I posted up today. I posted on Facebook and I said, oops. I probably shouldn't have said oops. So Sean, I apologize for that. I'm not making light of the situation. My point with doing that, not that it needs any explanation, was that how would you space it? I don't know. If that's what happened, could be. And if there was an appeal going on in the background, then why wouldn't the judge have? I don't know. I have no idea. I always thought that that's the way that appeals ran. So we'll see. We'll see. It's something that has been argued in the conspiracy circles for a very, very long time. And becoming a sovereign citizen and not paying taxes and still living in the United States. I don't know how that whole thing, it just doesn't make sense to me. But when I hear somebody explain it, I always sit back and go, okay, all right. I can't argue it because I don't know anything about it. You know, they always said, there's two things in life, death and taxes. Okay, all right. If you have the ability to escape taxes, you still do it within the law. But it seems like if this sovereign citizen thing worked one time, we would all be sovereign citizens, and maritime law and everything else that comes into play here. And I've tried to follow this, and I've tried to learn. And every time that I read a bunch of stuff about it, and I follow it, or I watch a video and try to understand it, I get more and more confused. And that's my take. All right. So that's the latest update on that side of things. I wanted to, so the other part about this, now there is, the whole sovereign citizens side of things, but apparently, for Sean, he was issued this check for $480,000, $480,323. And the first thing I thought of when I heard about this is, how great is that? We've all wanted to have the wrong check show up in the mail from the IRS. And what would you do with it if it did? Right? Just an extra zero on the end of the check. What do you do? Right? And I don't know. Well, I know what I would do. I wouldn't cash it, right? What would you do if a check showed up from the IRS and you're expecting $4,000 and the check shows up and it's $40,000 and you're holding it in your hand? What do you do with the check? It shows up, it's not $4,000, it's not $3,000, but it's $300,000. There's one side to ask for the $300,000. There's another one where there's just a simple mistake. What do you do? What do you do? Do you call the IRS? Do you return the check, or do you cash it? Do you cash it? Well, in their case, they cashed it. They cashed the check. Oh, man. And that's my issue. I mean, do you know when you're holding the check in your hand, you've got a choice here, right and wrong. You don't cash it. Right. Seriously. Right. Send it back, somebody else says. What do you do at that point? And my thing especially on a moral side, when it comes down to moral, and I've always told my kids this, you know the difference from right and wrong. You do. You know the difference from right and wrong. So when you're holding a check in your hand, whether you are fighting the man, cash it and leave the country, Holly. When you're holding that check in your hand, you're fighting the man. You're fighting the man. You're becoming a sovereign citizen. You're fighting the man. I get that. I totally get it. But when you get the check in your hand, you know that money's not yours. You know that cashing that check is not right. You know that. You just know that. You know right from wrong at that point. You may be sticking it to the man, but when they send you the check, now you've got a decision to make here. There you go. TurboTax made a mistake in my favor. Never heard from IRS or TurboTax about it. How much was it? How much was it in your favor? Was it $10? Was it $5,000? Interesting. I won't tell anybody. I'm not saying your name right now. As a matter of fact, you can delete the tweet if you want. But, yeah, you just know right from wrong. And as soon as you cast the check, that kind of seals your fate, right? You might have an out clause if you didn't cash it. You can continue the fight and continue to stick it to the man. But you cash that check. That's it. Okay, let's take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Chris Hardy, live from France. We're going to discuss her book, Wars of the Anunnaki. And with that, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Got a great week coming up. Stay right there. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply and, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, gettheT.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Great week we have got here on Fade to Black. So happy. Nothing like a great Monday, too. Tonight, our guest, Chris Hardy. She is a cognitive and systems scientist, PhD in psychological and anthropology, and an ex-researcher at Princeton's Psychophysical Research Laboratories. She has spent the last 2 decades investigating non-local consciousness and thought-provoking mind potentials, author of more than 50 papers and about 15 books on these subjects, and she is an authority in the domain both in scientific terms and as an author and workshop facilitator. She spends a lot of her time traveling and exploring various knowledge systems and cultures, maintaining a keen interest in Eastern religions, shamanism, and esoterica. She presents regularly at various international conferences. We just spent time with her at Contact in the Desert, and is a member of several scientific societies based in the United States exploring system theory, chaos theory, parapsychology, and consciousness studies. Her current book is Wars of the Anunnaki. Now, we're going to talk about that tonight, the nuclear self-destruction in ancient Sumer. And it is available on Amazon. And I would like to welcome, for the first time to Fade to Black, Chris Hardy. Chris, good morning. I know it's very early over there in France. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm absolutely great. Yes.
Thank you for being on with
to be with you.
Yeah, and the honor is all ours. And Chris, you get the first time guest disclaimer, which I'm going to do now, which is this. It's you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where we start, where we end, but we're going to end as friends. Are you ready to go?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's the way I like things.
It was great hanging out with you at Contact in the Desert. And coming over to the United States and going to such a large conference like that, what is it like for you to be around so many people that want knowledge and want you to share your knowledge? Pretty great event, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was absolutely great. It was the ambiance was lifting, uplifting. And well, I had some people already that I was knowing from different previous conferences. But I was so glad to see such a great crowd and so happy people and open-minded and all searching for some kind of spiritual development, inner development. So that was very, very interesting.
It was great when a golf cart showed up to pick me up, and you were there in the golf cart. And we're driving away, and you go, "So, Jimmy, when am I going to be on Fade to Black?" And I said, whenever you want. And here you are today, and it's great to hear your voice. I wanted to ask you one other thing. You came to one of our parties on Saturday, or I think Sunday night, and wasn't it great to see all these young minds there just asking questions and cooking good food and just talking about all of these subjects we loved. Doesn't that make you feel good to see a gathering of people like that?
Well, that's the most important thing for me in all conferences, especially at CITD, was to talk with so many people, and as you said, so many young people. I mean, the crowd was so free and open-minded. It was absolutely wonderful to talk to people. And many people came to me after I was especially at the panel with George Norrie.
Right.
And they came to me and thanked me. It was very, very nice ambiance.
Did you see anything strange in the sky at contact?
No.
Oh.
I have not seen.
Oh, you should have come hang out with us.
When was that?
Oh,
when something happened?
Yeah, every night. Every night something was going on in the skies. And that's one of the magical things about Joshua Tree is the history of strange lights, and it's the indigenous cultures there have been seeing lights in the skies there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And that conference happens right in the middle of where everything has been happening all of these years. So when you come back next year, go out with us and we'll watch something together. I can promise you're going to see something.
Okay. I'm totally for it. Yes.
Now, let's talk about, let's jump straight into, we talk about the Anunnaki a lot on this show. And I have a few different takes on the Anunnaki, and I'm thoroughly convinced that the writing, the confirmation, the tablets, the clay tablets, definitely say that something was going on there, and they took the time to document it. For you, why did you've written a few books on this subject, and you've written a really great book on the DNA of this too as well. For you, what started your interest in the Anunnaki?
Well, I'm always been interested in consciousness. I was working in developing a theory, and that was what has been my whole life practically. And also on the development on the study of psi phenomena. So you have to understand that I have a bent for psychology and specifically anthropological psychology, the study of trance state. And at the same time, I was doing some meditation and working on myself since I was 18 years old. I'm traveling to also to get some to learn more with some wise people everywhere, especially in India. So when I discovered not so long ago, like about 10 years ago, I discovered at the same time the Sumerian tablets on the books of Zecharia Sitchin. And what happened is that I realized, and it was really a shock for me, I realized that all the events that are written in the book of Genesis happen to be also reported in the Sumerian tablets. I mean, we know, of course, they are dating back like 3,500 BC, and they are in several different languages. One of them being the Sumerian, but not the only one. And we can patch up one text with another text in another language from another place, another library. And so it's a very, very extant kind of lore. And I was totally shocked when I saw that, as I said, the events of the Book of Genesis, like the creation of humanity, the Tower of Babel, the Deluge, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, all were written in the Sumerian tablets, predating the first text of the Bible, something like 2,500 years. And not only, the light on the event, on the context, on the protagonists that were put in those tablets were totally different. And that was, at the same time, you could not see that it was the same event. And like you have Adam and Tiamat, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden in Eden, or you have the destruction of Marduk's temple in Babylon, which was Babylon meaning Babili, the gateway to heaven. And you have, of course, the Tower of Babel destruction in the book of Genesis. All this was the same. However, in the Bible, you have only one God, and the responsibility is always put on human beings, starting with Eve and Adam. And contrary to this outlook, in the Sumerian tablets, you have two enemy brothers that are constantly warring with each other, and the responsibility of all these events are with the Anunnaki themselves, either one of the brothers or their clones, and so the moralistic and the spiritual context of those descriptions are totally different. And I was totally shocked when I saw that the Garden of Eden, for example, there was absolutely no sin and fault. That you could put on the adolescent Adam and Tiamat, and it was again a problem between the two brothers, and it was so enlightening for me, and I realized that I really had to say something about that. I had to study in depth those tablets, and if I could do something to propagate the new outlook that was coming out of the Sumerian tablets, I should do that.
And what's interesting here, I want to get into the story of the Anunnaki too, as well, for the audience out there. We'll start at the beginning and move forward. But today we have a lot of scientific evidence of not only with the deluge, but different possibilities of things happening with advanced technology and weaponry back then. And we didn't have that evidence 100 or 200 years ago. We didn't have, but today it's starting to accumulate. Where are you? Where do you go to look at the scientific evidence?
Well, all over the place. I mean, first of all, I have memorized, of course, whatever Sitchin was interpreting, the way he was interpreting some text, but you know, the interesting thing that is happening to somebody who is a scientist like me, because I have not only gone into system theory, chaos theory,
right,
scientific parapsychology, but also hard sciences. When somebody like a scientist with a scientific mind is reading the proper translation of the Sumerian tablets, the feeling we have is that it is much more scientifically grounded than the text I remember reading in the book of Genesis. I mean, when you have a text like, you have the whole assembly of the gods at one point, which is discussing about the fact that they need some workers, and we should create a new species of beings. On this new species, and somebody proposed, but maybe we should make a robot, and everybody says, no, this is impossible. We need a being with a soul. And then Enki, the brother that is the ally of humanity, is on chief scientist back on Nibiru, the planet they came from, on Earth, the first king of Earth. So Enki is saying to the assembly, okay, we will create a hybrid being by binding our own essence of life with the essence of life of a biped that I saw roaming in Africa. And they keep discussing and saying that they absolutely need a being with a soul to bring the essence of life. They are going to mix with their own essence of life. So when you have a text like that, and we have developed now genetic engineering and cloning and everything, the text is totally clear that they are going to be genetically engineering a new species using their own genome, essence of life, with the genome of a hybrid, of a biped, sorry. And it was, at the time, we are talking about 250,000 years ago, the biped was the Homo erectus, and very strangely, this species appeared as Homo erectus appeared on the planet in Africa around 1,000,000.9 years ago, and it started to mutate only 300,000 years ago. And it finished its own mutation, as we were saying, but before. But it's true that last week only they discover that it could. The Homo sapiens did not appear in 200,000 years ago, but 300,000 years ago. So. This is a little different, but the Sitchin was correlating the dates from the tablets with our own calendar, and he was saying that, yes, around 300,000 years ago, Ninma, who was the chief scientist in life sciences, was chosen by the assembly because just after they decided, okay, let's do it, and they chose Ninma, their chief scientist in life sciences, and give her the mission to create the human being. So she started making trials, and she had a number of trials starting around 300,000 years ago, and then finally, she got to a being that they called a hybrid, a Lulu, a primitive worker that nevertheless was able to learn emotional skill and language, and linguistic skills, and to become a scientist. And that's what she was looking for, and she finally obtained this kind of intelligent being able to learn around 200,000 years ago.
Now, does that answer the question of why there's no missing link? Right, because, and you bring up a good point, 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus, nothing evolved for 1.9 million years, and then all of a sudden, boom, here we are. Is that why there isn't a missing link, some interspecies development between the two, where we just appeared we weren't there one day, we were there the next?
Yes, and a growing number of people, especially scientists, are starting, especially in our field, ancient aliens, but we have more and more scientists into that field, and they start, but even outside our field, a lot of scientists are starting to believe that something prodded, boosted the evolution from the biped erectus, walking straight biped, on something, because if you take only the mutation theory of Darwin, on statistics and the calculation has been done, and if it does not account for our rate of evolution, whatever way you are trying to make it, if we take only the random mutation as Darwin was positing them,
right?
We know now that those random mutations are not very frequent, and scientists have been able to calculate the rate of those random mutations, and it does not add up for the kind of development that the human species, Homo sapiens, has reached by now. In fact, they found out that our development was something like 1 million years ahead of time. But not only because the random mutation were not happening, but also, there is a very grave problem with random mutation, is that if you have random mutation, even giving precedence to the fittest, Darwin theory, even if you have this, you cannot have the kind of steady development of intelligence on culture that we are witnessing, even in our modern times. The increase the increase of complexity, the increase of cultural collective knowledge, of information. This is definitely an increase in complexity, an increase, what we call in system theory, an increase of order, a creation of order on information, and this is not allowed and explained by materialistic science. The way we rely on randomness, or the way on random mutation in that case, on the way we rely on the principle of entropy, which is the increase of disorder. All this, it becomes more and more clear that it cannot account for the kind of intelligent civilization and the growing of information that we see in our civilization. So there is something utterly lacking, not only in Darwin's theory of evolution. There is something lacking in our scientific paradigm, which is to explain and to be able to theorize, to make a theory about the increasing in complexity. Of course, we have the complexity sciences and chaos theory, and it has changed something. But this has not been integrated in psychology yet.
And
biology either.
Yeah, totally. And that's why, for me, Darwin is like just thrown out. And for the reason for that...
Totally.
Yeah, totally. Say totally again. Let me hear you say it.
But materialism also is totally out of the picture.
Completely, because we are, you and I are literally talking 10,000 miles away, or however far away France is from me. It's a long ways. And we've come this far in such a short period of time. According to Darwin, it should have taken Homo sapien us today 2 million years to develop into this, and we've done it nearly overnight. And the thought of it being an accident, Chris, this is the craziest part for me. Darwin is suggesting that, or anybody else that wants to argue that side, that lightning struck and rearranged our DNA like magic. It doesn't work that way.
That is the problem with randomness.
Yes.
The problem with randomness is that it should be random, meaning that one day we would evolve, the next day half of humanity is evolving, etc. It's totally random. We would have as many species of human beings as individuals. Randomness is randomness. It has no order. And this is a problem also with quantum physics, by the way. And it's the fact that the whole of quantum physics actually is based on unpredictability and randomness, the indeterminacy. And we can see that it cannot be the basis of the world, the universe reality. It has to be, again, a principle of intelligence and consciousness and order that is more basic than randomness. Even if you have a level of randomness, to be able to give some freedom on the leeway, to processes so that they evolve.
Why is we have to take a break right here. You can answer this question when we come back, but when it comes to science, it's really funny. They want everything to be black and white. They want the evidence to be put forward. They want all of that. But when it comes to us, they go, it just happened. It doesn't work that way. All right, our guest tonight, Chris Hardy. We're discussing her new book, Wars of the Anunnaki. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. More with Chris, live from France, right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tappy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's Monday. Our guest, live from France, Chris Hardy. I'm holding up for the cameras here in the studio. We're talking about her new book right here, Wars of the Anunnaki. And I want to, Chris, you start off the book, one of the great questions when it comes to the Anunnaki, and you start off at the beginning of the book. Did the Anunnaki have a religion? Were they religious themselves? Because they have been portrayed as gods. And so do gods have a religion? And did they have a religion? Can we kind of start there?
Yes, this is very, very important because this is an issue that you realize only when you are really plunging deeply into the Sumerian tablets. And it's very strange that on one side, in the Sumerian tablets, they say at one point in history, which is around 5,000 BC, I would say, that they say that now they want to be worshipped as gods, and I mean the name, the term at the time was meaning lofty lords, and even in Hebrew, the first signification of the word for God was lofty lord. So, but they kind of made as if they were giving, making a gift to specific humans that were only hybrids, meaning with Anunnaki parentage and Earthling parentage mixed. And these were the only Earthling, I mean, they were demigods, and these were the only persons that could be either the priest, the high priest of a town or of a city, or the king of a city, because you have to understand that it was a whole large family of Anunnakis very soon, and each god or goddess, if they were not in a couple, were having each one was having its or her or his own city, and devotees, which were earthling people. So basically, they decide at one point in history that they are going to give kingship and queenship to humanity, but in fact, when they did that, they wanted to be worshipped as gods, and they became more distant from humanity, because now they were giving their orders to the human population through their kings and queens. And what happened is that they themselves had no religion or rituals to a god. The only belief they had in this respect was about a so-called, quote, creator of all, which is not a woman. They were not worshipping, and he did not have temple. The only temple were their own temple to be worshipped by the human beings. And this creator of all is invoked in the tablets only when events are not going the way they wanted them to go. And then they say, oh, but then it must be the creator of all that has chosen this development or this kind of event.
Was the DNA adjusted from Cro-Magnon, Homo erectus, or was it, a fresh start? Did they start with a clean slate?
As I said, they made a genetic engineering, mixing together the genome of Homo erectus with the genome, their own genome.
Right.
So it means that as human beings, we have the DNA of the gods. That was the title of my first book, DNA of the Gods, because on top of that, the Ninma, when she was doing the genetic engineering for a very, very long time, until she got to an intelligent being, when she did that, she was putting more and more of their own DNA, Anunnaki DNA, into the being. And then the last thing is that she realized that if it was a biped ape woman carrying the fetus on giving birth, then the being would not be able to learn emotional and intelligent language and linguistic skills. And so she needed to have young Anunnaki women to be inseminated with the egg, and then carrying the fetus, and then giving birth. And this is how she got finally to this learnable being, intelligent being that was who was first Adamu, and then Tiamat, and then etc.
And what's interesting here with that, for me, is that they must have had to do that combination so who they were going to create to work for them would understand the Anunnaki, would also be intimidated by the Anunnaki. You have to be told what to do and not question authority, right?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, this is a question left open, with the stories that we have in the book of Genesis, and which is the most traumatic story for us that was given to us when we were young. It's a story of the Nephilim. And the fact that what happened is that I made a comparison, a very much in-depth comparison between some of the text in the book of Genesis and the comparable events recounted in the Sumerian tablets. And I use my own semantic field theory to be able to sort out the group of words, on the kind of values, cultural values, psychological profile, cultural time frame that they were carrying, and also what kind of part of sentences were exactly the same information as in the tablets, on what was now totally different in the book of Genesis. And so I was able to find out that the Nephilim, the way they are described in the Sumerian tablets, they are in fact the space people, the people manning the space station on Earth, and the space station they had on the Moon and on Mars. And because we have a lot of, they had developed a science that was kind of integral science, and which made use of very tiny chips that were big like diamonds, and they were techno-magical chips, like they could at the same time manage, a whole spaceport or irrigation system on the whole Mesopotamia, what they call Sumer, or they could also be more qualitative kind of chip, like they would give eloquence, or the possibility of also having a mind, mental control, on other people. So to get back to the Nephilim, they were called in the Sumerian tablets, they were called Igigi, meaning those who orbit and observe. And they were the astronauts, as I said, manning all the space station on Earth, on Moon, on Mars.
Right.
And those Igigi, at one point, they revolted. Let me say first that the firstborn of Enki, Enki's clan was all scientific people, practically. And his firstborn, Marduk, who is also known as Ra in Egypt, because Enki was the one to start the Egyptian civilization. So Marduk came from the planet Nibiru on Earth, and he was already an incredible scientist, like his father. And he came with people to man the space ships on the spaceport. So he was the chief of the Igigi for a very long time. And then himself fell in love with a hybrid, not hybrid like our race, but Anunnaki earthling woman who was the daughter of a high priest. So a high priest is already a demigod, and she was the daughter of this high priest with a high priestess. So she had a lot of Anunnaki genome in her, and Marduk fell in love, but for Enlil, the ruler of Earth, her blood was tainted by the earthling genome, you know. This is a very, very strange for us to understand, but this is also very shocking. But we have to realize that the ruler of Earth, Enlil, the brother of Enki, was indeed against humanity and tried to get rid and to erase humanity. As we see in the Bible, if we look very well, we see he wanted to erase the humanity from the face of the earth, because it was saying that when the son, I mean, it's so well known, everybody knows that, when the son of the gods found out that the daughter of men were on themselves were compatible, then they chose whichever wife they wanted. And so this sentence, for example, in the Bible is showing a text and an information that is perfectly coherent with the kind of information we have in the tablets, but it is in the middle of a lot of other sentences that are putting the blame on always on the earthling, on humanity, on specifically on women. So when we know that the Anunnaki were a giant, you know, because they when we were engineers, Ninma made us mortal, first of all, with a short lifespan, and at the same time, we were not going to be so tall, so we were going to reproduce very quickly and multiply. So when this happens, it's when the Igigi, when this happens that the Igigi chose wife, it's because first of all Marduk fell in love, and Enlil, the ruler of Earth, was against his marriage because it would have tainted the Anunnaki blood. But his parents, Enki and the wife of Enki, did agree to his marriage. And then his workforce, the Igigi, the wall of the Igigi, revolted because they wanted also to get married, to have a wife, and to start to create a family. And Enlil had not given them the permission even to stay on Earth and to have a wife. While the royals, you know, in the family, they had not only a wife, but also they were having a relationship with the half-sister, they had concubines, and lovers on the side, etc. But the Igigi had nothing. So they revolt, and they want to do like their chief Marduk. They want to find an earthling woman, and they use the fact that there is a huge feast, and King Anu is going, and Queen Antu are going to come from planet Nibiru when it is near Earth, and they are going to come on Earth, and then all the Igigi are going to come on Earth also for this great feast. And it is at this feast that they chose earthling women to propose them, to marry them, and to create a family. And then, in the Bible, you will see that at the moment of the deluge, when the deity of the Bible is saying that I want to erase the earthling from the face of the earth because it is only flesh. And this is one of the contradictions that we find in several places in the Bible, and we understand why they are there because of the way that the text was created by different authors at different times. But basically, we have those sentences showing the truth of what happened really, is that because it says it was just after the sentence, I mean, not too far after the sentence, saying that the son of the god, la la la. And when you imagine those Igigi, being a tall, giant, immortal, quasi-immortal Anunnaki, trying to choose a small, even if they were demigods and taller, a much smaller woman to create a family, and being very, very nice with them because they love them so much. I mean, it's all over the place in the tablets, like Marduk for his wife. And so you can see that even in the Bible, even if it is the Son of God who choose whichever wife they wanted, of course the fault, it cannot be put on the woman, especially in front of God,
Yeah, and we're going to take a break right here. We have to stay on schedule. We're going to take a break, but one of the things that I need to have answered here, when it comes to the deluge and some of this devastation that was going on, was it localized in ancient Sumer, Mesopotamia, or was it worldwide? Was it everything all at the same time? We'll answer those questions when we come back. Our guest tonight, Chris Hardy. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Backley Tappy.
So I get out of the shower this morning. I'm looking in the mirror, and not to brag, but my beach body is coming back. I'm not fearing shorts and bathing suits this summer. And thanks to naturesyouth.com, I'm here to help you too. The anti-aging experts, Nature's Youth RSF, they've developed an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports my body to naturally increase HGH levels without synthetic hormones. You see, HGH, or human growth hormone, it's produced by the pituitary gland, and it's essential for growth and regeneration of my cells and tissues. Elevated HGH levels can contribute to not only increasing my energy, improving my libido, and reducing my body fat, but overall improving my exercise capacity. Now, just by watching what I eat, doing a little exercise, and taking my daily dose of Nature's Youth RSF, I'm in a swimsuit, and I'm happy to be there. My beach body is back. I want you to get yours. Join me today and look better and less with help from Nature's Youth. It's easy. Go to naturesyouth.com. That's naturesyouth.com. And bring on the sunshine.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. There's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, live from France, Chris Hardy. We're discussing her new book, Wars of the Anunnaki, Nuclear Self-Destruction in Ancient Sumer. The book is available on Amazon. The links are up at jimmychurchradio.com. And Chris, right before the break, I was talking, was the deluge, they eliminated some cities. In the Sumerian text, was this localized or was this worldwide? And the reason why I ask, you say in chapter 5, you say I'm reading directly from the book. You say the 8th act of Enlil was to lead to the total annihilation of civilization of Sumer. For this final act, we will not see anything fundamentally different from what we have already seen with the feuds between the Inkyites and the Enelites. So, was it a worldwide destruction or an attempt at that?
Well, the paragraph on the dealing with the deluge are showing the goddesses and the gods in some kind of starships orbiting the Earth. And before that, first of all, let me clarify that it was Enlil had tried for a very long time to get rid of humanity. Because he found human too noisy and he could not sleep, and also especially the fact that, as I said, the Anunnaki blood was tainted by the Earthling, and he had tried to erase humanity through pandemia and then through a terrible drought, and within the assembly of the gods, he was constantly ordering the other gods and goddesses to follow his orders. And notably, when they understood that there was going to be an enormous tsunami, because this time, this orbit, Nibiru, the planet who has a very, very long elliptical orbit around the sun, was going to come too near to Earth, so it was going to create enormous geological problems and magnetic problems. And so they knew that this deluge catastrophe was going to come. And at that point, Enlil, who had not achieved the fact that he wanted to get rid of humanity, used this last problem and asked the other gods and goddesses in the assembly not to reveal to the human beings what's going to happen, so that they are all going to be destroyed and dead. And it is Enki in the tablets who is going to see the Noah of the tablets, Utnapishtim, and who is giving him the plans to create a submersible, and he's even going to give him his pilot to take him to the Mount Ararat. Sorry. And it is Enki, while Enlil, the ruler of Earth, wanted to erase humanity and use the deluge to erase humanity. So they don't say anything to human beings, but as I could fathom through the text, Ninma is the one to make a bank of genomes of the animals and plants. And it seems like we found one of those bank of grains, cereals in Baalbek, in Lebanon.
Right.
And Baalbek was one of her laboratories. And she's also, so she's making this and then giving the genomes to Noah to take in his submersible. And meanwhile, Enlil is not preparing, and Enki and his sons are going to protect and take all the books they can find and try to protect them in some specific places outside of harm's way. And Enlil is not doing anything. He is proposing to the Anunnaki who are on Earth to either go back to planet Nibiru or to stay on Earth, but then they will have to orbit around the planet for as long as the tsunami and the deluge is going on.
Was there?
So we have in the tablet, we have the gods and goddesses. Most of the royal family have decided to stay on Earth, and we have the description of especially Ninma, who definitely was against not telling human beings, and Inanna, who voted yes for not telling the Inanna being the granddaughter of Enlil, and they are crying, and they had no idea it was going to be such a destruction. And they are orbiting around the Earth and seeing what's happening below, and they are crying and crying and crying, saying, especially Ninma and Inanna, they cannot believe the extent of the destruction, and they are crying because Ninma say, "Oh, my created," because everybody is dying. And she's broken down. And so this is the only, and then we see them arriving, Enki, who was not with them in the spaceship, he was in his own spaceship doing something else. And we see them, Enki and Lil, going down at one point, landing on the two peaks of Mount Ararat, which are already outside of the water, who have started to recede. And so, and then he's getting angry because he sees now Noah arriving, and he cannot believe that one human being, he hasn't seen the whole family, of course, is still alive. And it is Enki who is telling to him, look, we are not going to be able to reconstruct our own temples and our cities and our civilization without the help of the human race. And so look at this extremely wise person, and who is Noah. And you are going to understand that we need them.
Was there ever, especially when it got up to the use of nukes and the war that happened with Marduk, was there negotiations? Did they try to avoid that type of war, or was it just inevitable and it was going to happen?
Alors, the nuking is a different story, so let's get to that.
Yes.
Just to conclude before with the deluge, this is the extent of what we have as information from the tablets. So we cannot divine if the deluge was extant all over the earth. We just have their specifics. We know that they were orbiting and they saw everything being destroyed. This is the only thing we know.
Right.
But nothing as to the extent. Okay. And so let's move now to the nuking. And the nuking, so the story of the Anunnaki on Earth is a perpetual fight between the two brothers, Enlil, who has gotten the title of King of Earth, and who is mainly giving orders and ruling like a despot, and Enki and his clan, Enki and Ninma, his half-sister, and they are living together, and also with Enki's wife. That was the Sumerian custom, like in Egypt. And Enki is starting the Egyptian civilization, and is the first god to reign for 11,000 years or something. Is called Ptah at that time. And then Ra will reign. And so they are always, all the time, Enlil is willing to get rid, not only, he cannot get rid of his brother, of course, especially because the brother was the firstborn of his father, and much older, so he cannot get rid. But he's going to try to get rid of the firstborn of Enki, Marduk, who is a great scientist, as I said, and who has constructed in Babylon a temple that is so sophisticated in terms of technology and his own plane and spaceships and technological means and all that Enlil is getting totally upset. So first we have the Tower of Babel incident where Enlil is ordering the destruction of the Babel Tower. Marduk's temple in Babylon. And then we get to another phase of which involves now also the son of Marduk called Nabu. And again, the clan of Enlil wants to get rid of Marduk and his son Nabu. And after they have been ordered out of Babylon, this is like the second or third time that Marduk has to go to exile. But he thought this time it was because the great gods, there are 12 great gods, 6 men and 6 women.
Right.
And they have this 12 constellation because Enki was the one to create the constellation on planet Earth, to determine the first ecliptic and the zodiac, all this. So he was putting the base of astronomy, but then Marduk thought that, and then there is at one era, at one epoch, there is always a chief of all the gods who is taking the title of the chief of the gods. And it could be also a woman. At one point it will be Inanna. But Marduk thought that after the clan of Enlil, the Enlil sons, it should be now his own time to be the chief of the gods, because it is his constellation, the ram, now coming into the sky, and so, but when he's starting to build again his Babylon temple, then he's asked again to go to exile. They don't want him even now, and at that point, as soon as he's gone, his temple is destroyed. So it's possible that the Tower of Babel incident in the Bible is the third time already that his temple is destroyed. So at that point, Marduk and his son Nabu have to get into exile, and they decide to go to some of the cities in Palestine, what is now Palestine, on the Jordan Plains. And there, contrary to all expectation from Enlil, the human beings, the way they are proposing and relating to the human population of those cities, the inhabitants, the citizens, immediately recognize them as their gods.
Right.
And they want to pray to them. And so this is infuriating, of course, Enlil and his clan. And now they want really to they want to kill Marduk, like they nearly did it at the end of the Second Pyramid War, like 8,600 BC or something. And now they believe that Marduk and Nabu are hiding somewhere in the cities of what is Sodom in the Bible, in the cities of Palestine on the Jordan Plains. And so I'm moving in between the tablets, to show that we have a very coherent part of the stories.
Right.
In one or the other text.
Right. And they line up too, right? You can get them to cross-reference.
Yes. And so basically, what we have is, in the Bible, we have what is called the War of the Kings. And strangely, it's a little complex, but because it's the firstborn of Enlil, Nannar, with the granddaughter of Enlil, Inanna. But Inanna is a very, very powerful goddess, and she's going to be the chief of the god at one point. She has been, at that time, the chief of the gods already, and she has started the whole Akkadian Empire, and she's also a warmonger. She's constantly invading the countries of her kin. And so they revolt between Nannar and Inanna. They decide that they are going to kill, destroy, and erase, kill not only Marduk, but his population of followers in those cities. So they go down from the east of Sumer, and with an army, and that's what we have, the war of the kings of the east, the Eastern Alliance. And strangely, it is where in the Bible you have Abraham, who is now ordered by Yahweh to stop the Eastern King Alliance before they enter the region of the Sinai, where they had a spaceport and also some abode of the gods.
I wanted to, Chris, I wanted to jump in right there. When Abram is mentioned in the tablets like that with this story, and his wife, half-sister, Sarah, who's Sarai, but it's Sarah in the Bible, does that tell you that the Bible is accurately depicting this story the same way that they were in the tablets?
Well, that's where we have, in my opinion, the biggest discrepancies between the Bible text on the tablets. When you look at the story of the Babel Tower, of the creation of of Adam and Eve on the Garden of Eden problem, I mean, you can right away make out the protagonist, who is who, and who has done what, and why. Because in the tablets, something we have, which shows how precise they were, is that they describe not only perfectly well what this God said and what the other one said and did, but also what were each god's and goddess feelings, how they reacted psychologically, which means that and they are very, very coherent. When you have a neurotic god like Nergal, he's constantly neurotic. He's raping a granddaughter of Enlil and then forcing her to marry him. Mm-hmm. I mean, and then he's the one to go to incite the gods in the assembly to vote for nuking the town to get rid of Marduk and Nibiru on the spaceport too. And he's constantly neurotic. But to get back to your question, in the text, we don't have any personage in the Sumerian tablets that we can readily recognize as being Abraham. But we have the angels, the two angels of destruction in Sodom. We have the two gods, one being Ninurta, the son of Enlil, and one being a younger son of Enki, who is called Nergal, the neurotic Nergal, who is always allied with Enlil politically. He is in the political clan of Enlil, and he is always trying to murder his brother Marduk. Right. He hates his father. He hates Marduk, and he's always there with Enlil when he can influence events in order to kill his brother. Have him killed at least.
We're going to take a break here in 3 minutes. I wanted to ask you before we'll pick this up on the backside. But what scientific evidence do we have for the use of nukes in the distant past?
I'm sorry, I did not get your question.
I said, what is the scientific evidence that we have for the use of nuclear weapons and WMDs in the distant past?
I'm sorry, but we have too little time before the break. Mm-hmm. Ask me this question after the break because I would need some time.
Yes, of course. And that is what, as you know, Chris, with the audience and with those that study the Anunnaki, they always want the evidence. What is the evidence? What is science saying today? It's a good story, but without evidence, right? Then it's just a story.
We have a lot of evidence on we have physical scientific evidence which I'm going to explain after the break, where we have radioactive places, on skeletons and all that.
Right.
But we have in my own work, what I found out was an evidence in the text, both of the description in the Bible, in the Mahabharata, the Hindu epic,
right.
but also, of course, in the Sumerian tablets, on the evidence at that point is quite strong. Like we have names of their techno-magical chips, the Mies. One Mi is called the holy radiating stone that disintegrates all. I mean, this is absolutely clearly understandable for us that we have something that has to do with radioactivity.
And we
but
have to...
also the description of in the tablets, of the fact that they launch a bomb, and it erases the whole region. It kills all the animals in the sea, all the animals in the land. It destroys the mountain. It's poisoning the rivers. It is making an awesome flash up to the sky. The description are incredible, but we can go in more depth into that.
Yeah, we'll do that right after the break. Our guest tonight, Chris Hardy, discussing her book, Wars of the Anunnaki. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Live from France, more with Chris Hardy right after the break. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black?
Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, live from France, Chris Hardy. We're discussing her new book. I'm holding it up, Wars of the Anunnaki. You can get it from Amazon. And we have the links over at jimmychurchradio.com. Now, Chris, before the break, talking about evidence. And so what is the evidence of the use of nuclear weapons of mass destruction in history?
Well, as I said, we have a body of evidence that is growing very quickly in terms of finding some traces of radioactive rocks and skeletons, and also craters. So we have, but the most important evidence that I found myself was in the text themselves, all the different texts. So let me start by the radioactive traces. We have, at one point, Inanna, when they gave kingship and queenship to humanity, 8600 BC, it was the start of Hermes being the era of Hermes being the king of Egypt, and at that point there was a redistribution of the regions with the younger generation, and Inanna got the Indus Valley. So it is very strange that it is when in the Indus Valley that has been discovered not so long ago, that when they started excavating the cities of the Indus Valley, which is around 3,500 to 2,500 BC, in terms of the establishment anthropology, so it is in the towns, in the cities of the Indus Valley, Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, which are along the Indus River, that have been found traces of radioactivity, first with a skeleton. So they started going down like in Troy,
Right.
And they found different levels of cities. And at one point they got to a level of the street, below all the dirt that had accumulated. And when they got to the level of the streets, they found that all the inhabitants of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro had died on the spot while they were trying to flee, holding hands with the children and the wife and by little groups. And they were flattened on the ground. And one skeleton was highly radioactive, something like 50 times the normal level of radioactivity. And of course, skeptics said that it must have been the eruption of a volcano somewhere, but there are absolutely no volcano, not any volcano around. And when we have a destruction by a volcano like who stop the Minoan civilization, we can find out which volcano, when did it happen, and we have the level of ashes, that we can see above the ruins of the cities. So nothing like that in the Indus Valley. but radioactivity, not only on skeletons, but also on, it seems like they were kind of spheres of molten matter that they found out was molted potteries, but in order to be molted into those kind of very heavy sphere, they found out that they calculated that it had to be the heat of a nuclear explosion. So that's one thing. Then we have, in different places in the world, we have radioactivity, like in the glasses sheets in the Libyan desert.
Right.
Could have been created only with radioactivity, a nuclear explosion.
Right.
We have the crater, Lonar crater, around north of Bombay, which would have needed also a nuclear explosion to be created, because you don't have what is necessary for imagining that, deducing that a meteorite would have stricken the Earth at that place. So then it's also the only explanation that is stands on its feet is nuclear explosion explanation. And the problem are with the date. Now the most incredible information has been brought by physicist John Brandenburg about two nuclear explosions, a huge nuclear explosion that would have happened on Mars. Mars, who was a green and lush planet with an atmosphere, on water, on an ocean that was like a fifth of the whole planet on the North Pole. And Mars, there are traces of two huge nuclear explosions that would have blasted the atmosphere of the planet and render it a dead planet. And this is traces through isotopes, namely xenon 129,
right?
And which and also, I mean, this xenon 129 is not found naturally. It has to be the product of a nuclear explosion, like we have it, for example, in the Nevada desert.
When they found 129 on Mars, that can, like you just said, it can only happen mechanically. It can't happen naturally. But that was also a fission explosion and not a fusion bomb, too, as well, which I find strange, but nonetheless, maybe they had advanced technology with fission to cause that kind of explosion. Is there any finding of those same isotopes in ancient history here, like they have found on Mars?
Well, we have the most important evidence, as I said, for me, apart from the explosion on Mars, are the evidence that I could find in the text. We have, first of all, we have the description of the Assembly of the Gods who voted, push by Nergal and Enlil and Ninurta, the firstborn of Enlil, and they push for the vote to use what they call the 7 awesome weapons that had been hidden by Enki when he came down on Earth the first time, because they had been brought by King Alalu, who was fleeing Nibiru, had been deposed, and he was using nuclear fuel while Enki was using hydrogen fuel. And so basically Enki thought that those 7 awesome weapons, nuclear weapons, were totally hidden, and he only, and his pilot knew where they were hidden. However, the pilot must have talked because Nergal knew where they were, and he's going to get them even before the Assembly of the Gods vote yes for the use of those weapons. And Enki is telling the Assembly that if they use those weapons, they are going to devastate the lands and kill everybody on a very, very large scale. And he's saying, don't do that, but they are not able to stop the Assembly from voting yes. And then we see in the text, Era Epos, we see Nergal, who has already upset with his father, crossing him, is going back to Africa, and he's already raiding the 7 awesome weapons on his on 2 planes that they call birds or shams when they were interplanetary spaceships. And so he had them on his birds, and the texts are saying that he's going to trail. And, and then Ninurta comes by with the final voting, the positive vote of the Assembly. Right. But when he gets to Nergal place, Nergal has already prepared the weapons, and they take off together, and the text, explain everything. And the text say, they start towards the towns, and with the awesome weapons in their trails. And then one movement of the hand on one, the whole spaceport is annihilated, and then is nuking the plane, the Sinai plane. And then it is the turn of Ninurta, that was Nergal. Ninurta now is emulating Nergal and is obliterating one town with just one gesture,
Right.
I mean,
one move.
And then we have dozens of texts which are called lamentation or laments, and they are from each of every city. Why? Because they have in the Bible, of course, we have 5 cities that are erased in the Palestine on Jordan plains, including Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
And Sodom was the place where Nabu, the son of Marduk, was supposed to be hiding. So they destroy the whole population. A very interesting point is during the assembly, when Ninurta arrives in Africa with where is Nergal ready with the weapons, he's trying to take him down because now Nergal wants to destroy everything: the land, the ocean, the mountains, the population. He wants to destroy any animal, everything. It's a very, very strange text that I have pondered very much because it shows how much of a absolute devil is the quote God Nergal with one son of Enki. And it's like, and you cannot understand how the Enlil, the ruler of Earth, could at any point give his assent, to using the awesome weapons, and to go with Nergal, crazy, totally crazy on genocidal, but it's more than that. He's not only against the followers of Marduk and Nabu and his father, he's against Earth is against humanity.
Right.
He's against the land, the animals. He's totally crazy, you know.
Right.
If he could destroy the planet, he would.
Yes, exactly. And I wanted to ask you, when it comes to Sodom and Gomorrah, we have the Sumerian text version of it. We have the biblical text. Which one do we believe? Because we have the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible because of morality, right? And that's why it happened. The Sumerian text is totally different. Which version is the right one?
When you do like I did, like you study word by word certain important paragraph of the biblical text, and you compare them with the Sumerian tablets, you can see clearly that you have group of words and rarely a whole sentence that are exactly the same as the Sumerian tablets. And it means that this is, most experts believe that the first text of the book of Genesis was written on the first text in Hebrew was written during the captivity of the Jews in Babylon. And if it is correct, it means that Babylon, being the city of Marduk, being himself a great knowledgeable scientist and knowledgeable, he had each of those great gods. They had enormous libraries. So the Hebrew tribes being there would have had access to all the Sumerian and the Akkadian and the Babylonian, etc. Text from the oldest time. And this is why, in Sitchin's opinion and in my opinion, but I must say I went much further in this specific respect, which was the comparison of the text, on being able to sort out three different narrators with their psychological profiles in the book of Genesis, and the different cultures that are implied. Because in the Sumerian tablets, I mean, this is happening in the Sumerian times, but in the Sumerian tradition, even at the time of Abraham, it was the Sumerian code of law, Hammurabi code of law that was exist, and we know that Abraham was married with his sister or half-sister, just like the Sumerians, because he is telling that to the Pharaoh. And so we see that in the Bible very clearly, that the Pharaoh is upset because Abraham has not told him that he was courting his sister and he was married with his sister. And so we have this Sumerian civilization, Abraham being a Sumerian, in my son of the high priest being a demigod himself, like his father, and Lot, the nephew, has to be also a demigod. So this is very strange. But when you study the text very, very clearly, not only you see a whole group of words that are exactly the same, but then you see something that is impossible in the Sumerian tradition, because in the Sumerian civilization, they did not have any kind of problem with sexuality. They were very down to earth with it. The only sexual crime, was if the person was not, if it was not an agreement between two people. Voilà. If one was, the rape was the worst crime in their society, and it was punished by exile, and you were losing everything. And so it is impossible, absolutely impossible. And when you study the text on its own ground, as I did, the text of Lot, you can see, loads of so unbelievable incoherence that you cannot believe this text to be an original text, even in the Bible itself. It has been an added, very, very late time addition to the Genesis text. And the kind of values and the kind of, morality and the refusal of any sexuality and all that, on the sin, the sexual sin and all that, all this is totally added. And this is also why psychologists and sociologists, ethnologists, we have to put this understanding of a trauma that has befallen humanity, and the trauma is not with what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, or what as a sexual sin, or what happened in the Garden of Eden, like the fault of Eve, what the expert calls the sin and fault interpretation or hypothesis. This is not. It is not grounded in the tablet. It's not supported by the tablets. To the opposite, the tablets, all the events are due to political forces that are creating wars between enemy brothers and two families that are fighting for the control.
I wanted to ask you,
this is
Chris, we're going to head towards another break here. Can you hang on for another 10 minutes after the break, and we'll continue to talk? I have a few more questions that I didn't get a chance to ask tonight. So we'll keep you for another 10 minutes. But before we get to the break, if we take the Sumerian text literally, does that mean that everybody, all humans on planet Earth today, all have Anunnaki DNA?
Well, this is an interesting question, and I'm going to, according to the tablets, as we have been made by genetic engineering with the genome, the essence of life of the Anunnaki, so it means that they were humans, of course. If not, we would not be. And it means that we have, at the minimum, half of their genes.
Right.
Having studied the tablet, I can say that Ninma was forced to get to an intelligent, emotionally, etc. being. She was forced to put more and more Anunnaki genes and to have them, as I said, being carried on birth by Anunnaki women. Okay. And Enki was constantly making love to the young female earthling, and so adding another part of Anunnaki genome into the bloodline of the earthlings. Let's remember that the workers were only clones, and we are talking about the line from Adamu and Tiamat, Adam and Eve, and so. And then now I get out of the tablets because I'm also a person with some kind of intuitive, clairvoyant and abilities.
Right.
And also I have my own memories, and that's for another.
That's for another show. Yes, that's for another show. Let's take a break right here, Chris.
That's for me to get on that now.
We'll take a break right here.
Before the hour.
Yes, live from France. Well, hold on. We have to take a break right here. We'll pick up everything on the backside. Our guest tonight, Chris Hardy, live from France. We're discussing her new book, Wars of the Anunnaki. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy. What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring two Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The two full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to jimmychurchradio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. A little bit of overtime tonight with Chris Hardy live from France. A couple of interruptions tonight, so let's get an extra 10 minutes in with everybody. All right, let's do this. Chris, if the Anunnaki arrived tomorrow, would we recognize each other because of our shared DNA?
I would think that the way they behaved in the tablet, are exactly the way we are behaving most of the time, with a lot of violence, but they were worse psychologically than us. I mean, they could not control their own emotions. They were never, and including the ruler of Earth was incapable, absolutely incapable from checking on its own action, his own action, on the reflecting on them,
right?
Reflecting on past mistakes, on the try to make things better the next time. No, he's making millennia after millennia. He's doing the same mistakes, and he still wants to erase humanity, no matter what. And it's like on the. He has a great distrust of women. We see from the shift from the Sumerian tablets to the biblical text, we see the shift from a family of gods, and suddenly one of them who has decided to be the sole god and to erase all of his family. And even getting absolutely furious when some population of some cities would, for example, make prayers to the great goddess, who was Asherah, who was his consort. So we see this on the. Let's conclude on the fact that we have to get back to those texts, the Sumerian tablets, and we have to ponder them, and we have to understand that the trauma was not a trauma that came from the events themselves, but the trauma came from the interpretation in the biblical text of some events that were not exactly of the nature that was said in the biblical text. There was absolutely no culpability that could be put on the human beings. In terms of sexuality, in terms of their responsibility in the Sumerian events, we were like a kids population for them, slowly growing up. And whenever some people were made king or high priest or high priestess or queen,
right?
It was granted to us. It was not our own doing. And we were still ordered to do this and that. So basically, we have to clear our psyches, and especially our collective psyche, from the miasma, the shadows that have been left not by events, but by interpretation and dogma. And this is very, very important, I believe. And it had a cathartic effect on me.
Was Enil a psychopath?
Oh yes, definitely. He started by raping a student of Ninma, a biology student of Ninma. And at that point, he was already the ruler of Earth. He had already inherited the title, and he was already on Earth. And he was judged by the 9 judges. They had a judiciary body, and he was judged to go to exile and to lose his title. But the young girl, who was a virgin, decided to marry him, and she was offered the choice, and she agreed to marry him. And now he got back his title and his city and everything.
Should we be nervous?
In my opinion, this is the root of his distrust for women, because first of all, there was a huge difference of age, and second, I mean, you cannot start by raping a woman, a young girl, and then imagine that you are going to be, you are going to have a healthy couple. This is impossible. And all the time, he's the only one to leave his wife for, incredible spans of time. And he's reminded by the king of the city, please come back to your wife. I'm going to make you a house of pleasure, a palace to be with her. And suddenly he remembers he has a wife and come back there. Yeah.
Should we be nervous?
The fact he's never learning,
Should we be nervous about the return of Nibiru? Would they, come back to finish what they started?
No. And I have studied that also in different ways. And first of all, I did not explain, but the nuking of those 5 cities, something that is not said in the Bible is that there was a contaminated wind that went straight toward Mesopotamia, aka Sumer,
right,
and destroy all life. I mean, the gods fled the contaminated, the radioactive cloud, but with their birds, with their planes. And so they were able, some of them were able to escape, but some of them did not know. I had no idea what kind of weapons, they had been creating this wind, and so they remain, and they could see their population dying by, they say, people falling instantly, and their skin falling apart, their hair, nails, and all that. I mean, the descriptions are harrowing, and it's like from those descriptions on the incredible number of them from each city in Mesopotamia, you can, and the god and goddesses were saying that, and we know some of them died, and many became sick. Like one text say, the goddess Bao, the evil wind, the contaminated radioactive wind, caught up with her as if she was a mortal. Very, very strong, and she died. She died after that.
Well, I've often thought.
First of all,
I've often thought if the Anunnaki with Nibiru came to Earth to get the gold that they needed for their own atmosphere, right, to survive on Nibiru, that after this 3,600-year orbit and coming back, that maybe they would need that gold again for whatever reason, and they would come back here and enslave us once again to get the gold that they would need for Nibiru. I mean, they did it once before. That's my fear about the return of Nibiru. Everybody's excited about it and Planet X and the return, but what if it's a repeat of the past?
No, but first of all, it cannot be, because my understanding is that we have evolved in terms of psychological capacities and mental capacities. We have evolved much further than they have, and our science has been catching up with their science quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, they don't evolve quickly. This is why we see Enlil, you may have 3,000 years between one act on the other, but he's still behaving exactly the same. He's not learning, because they are nearly immortals. As the Indians are saying about their immortal gods, they are saying that human beings, because our life is so short and we want to learn and experience in an intense way, we are evolving at an incredible pace, while the gods are not evolving because they have absolutely no challenge to evolve. Like nothing is going, if you have a despot who has all the power on a country, like Enlil had on Earth, there is absolutely nothing that is going to make him think twice or think at all. This is what I have seen all over the place in the tablets. It's unbelievable that somebody can be imagining that the few Anunnaki, the 12 or have a dozen and a half Anunnaki that stayed on Earth during the deluge, that they were going to build anew their own temples on their own civilization without the humans.
I wanted to ask you really quick before we wrap up the show. In all, I talk about this all the time, Chris. I've been trying to find out. In all of the carvings in stone, you always see the Anunnaki kings carrying a purse, right? Or something that looks like a purse. It's got a handle, and it's a bag with a handle. And what is that?
Well, it's one of those myths, It's like you have very, very astonishing myths. There are techno-magical chips. Like, for example, you have all kind of myths that are scientific, technological, like lasers, the eyes that scan the land, that get inside the land and sees all in the sky. And okay, this is very easy for us to understand. But you have myths of kingship and lordship and godship, and you have a myth of eloquence, and you have a myth of brilliance that and they are described when they go to war, like when they at one point Enlil had his temple being harmed, defiled, and he's getting absolutely furious, and he gets on his bird, on the tablet say, and in front of Enlil are two gods, that are sparkling and shining like fire and suns. And himself is putting out strikes of light, and so it's like they have all kind of fields, and there are two main attributes to the lordship, who will say, or godship, is the wand and the circle. And I have made a specific study of the circle and the wand, because we see them even given to the kings and queens that they are going to put on the throne. And it goes all the way to the Celtic religion with the torque. The torque, which is a round, like a ring, a large hand-wide ring, and the wand also, the scepter, and so all the emblems of the priesthood that we have now, of kingship that we have now, are all the way back, just like the constellations. They are all the way back to the Nibirian civilization. We brought them on Earth, because it's impossible that the oldest tablet being 5,500 years old, and the scribe on them was saying, this is a copy of a very old, ancient text that I'm copying faithfully in this Sumerian language area. And they have already a body of law. They have already the 9 who judge. They have a law. We know now there were already 2 bodies of law before Hammurabi law code. And they have already temples, architecture. They have the myths, irrigation system, birds to fly, etc. So it cannot arrive spring up, like as if as a spring suddenly coming out of Earth, all ready-made, a whole civilization, with writing and scribes and weapons of mass destruction that they describe so clearly. It cannot happen overnight with the first text we discover, which is 5,500 years old.
I want to thank you for coming on tonight. What an amazing, amazing conversation. And I look forward to having you back on the show. And we'll start the next time we'll talk about your own ET contact and experiences and the science behind all of that. I want to thank you so much, and be safe out there. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Great conversation tonight, everybody. Now, the links for Chris's blog and the books and everything are over at jimmychurchradio.com. An amazing conversation. And the point that I am always trying to stress in my own research and the way that I have looked into this and us, it's really quite simple. The only thing that answers all of the questions, the only thing that does that is that somebody came here and messed with our DNA. Somebody with advanced knowledge, especially for that time, that changed it. That's the only thing that it's the only thing that can answer all of those questions. Darwin does not come close. The more that we move along, it's funny. Every time I bring up Darwin on this show, every single time I bring up Darwin, you will not believe the amount of emails that come in. It's fascinating to me that if we take the Darwin side of things and we look at it the way that he wants it explained, we are talking about 1 million years of evolution between species. 1 million, and with us, that it simply is not there. And I'll get somebody go, you know what, Jimmy, man? No, you're wrong. No, I am not wrong. And there are, not only with humans today, us modern humans, not only with us, but just about any species that you can point at on planet Earth, every single one, there is missing links with all of them. That everything has just appeared. I don't understand how that can be after every single devastating event here on planet Earth where allegedly, right, everything is wiped off, and then everything is just replenished. Everything just happens again. Everything is, it doesn't, I don't understand it. There's nothing there. Earth has not been here long enough to restart and rebump and redo everything. I'll tell you something else. In the evidence of fossils, I'll tell you something that's really, really, really trippy. There's nothing really evolutionary with dinosaurs. It's not even there with that. They just appeared and then disappeared. It's a fascinating subject for me. So when we look at us, we are so fresh here in the big scheme of things. 4.5 billion years of planet Earth. In the big scheme of us here, we have advanced and come along so fast and so quickly. I don't understand how that could possibly happen. I just don't. The same advancement has not occurred with everything else. Everything is just the same as it was. It's like we were seeded almost. Like, and I understand. It's like the most fantastical science fiction far out idea that you could place, which is Johnny Appleseed showed up here on planet Earth and just threw everything out there and threw it all over the place. But it's the only thing that makes any sense. It's the only thing. If we accept the fact that there was a huge asteroid that in the Gulf of Mexico 65 million years ago and wiped dinosaurs, and then in the last 65 million years, everything was bump-started and started over again, and everything happened in 65 million years, I can't wrap my head around that. I just can't wrap my head around it. So I'll always stick to that. Okay. I wanted to share this crazy story with you. Do I have enough time to get this whole thing in? An email prankster has struck again, this time fooling top executives at Citigroup and Goldman Sachs by masquerading as each bank's chairman. Last month, imposter fooled the Barclays CEO and the Bank of England governor. The email prankster revealed on Twitter the exchange between Blank Fine and himself impersonating Harvey Schwartz, who is Goldman Sachs' president and the chief operating officer. Last Sunday night, the trickster emailed Citigroup CEO Michael Corbat and the consumer banking chief Stephen Bird, pretending to be the bank's chairman, Michael O'Neill. In an email sent from the address michael.o'neill@citi@outlook.com, there it is, I just gave you his email address, the prankster alerted Corbat and Bird to an email trick he had earlier played on the Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein. The prankster had pretended to be Goldman's co-chief operating officer, Harvey Schwartz, and shared brief exchanges with Blankfein in relation to a tweet the CEO had sent last week. In his email to city managers, the hoaxer suggested that the bank needed to take steps to prevent falling prey to a similar prank. Corbat's only response was to thank the person he thought was his chairman for the event the night before, but Bird replied 3 times, on one occasion even joking, "I hope that's our real chairman." Bird also outlined some of the precautions Citi was taking to strengthen its email security. Both banks confirmed the exchanges but declined to comment further. Now, Blankfein replied to an email from the company's president and COO, Harvey Schwartz, that congratulated him on a trip to China about the country's impressive infrastructure. The exchanges are likely to raise questions, however, about the way the bank's computer systems handle emails to addressees outside of their companies. It's the 3rd time the prankster has struck in the finance community in the last month. I've got more on this on tomorrow night's show. It's absolutely hysterical. All right, I got to thank right now Chris Hardy for coming in live from France. Yeah, we had some technical issues, but that kind of stuff happens. But she is one of the brightest, one of the smartest out there. The book is Wars of the Anunnaki. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the links, go over to Amazon, and get yourself one. It's a fantastic book. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark T. Kovar. Thanks to LJ3, Renee, Jonas, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale, Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Antonio from Gods Among Us. That's right. Everybody be safe. Go back, Lee Tappy.